Anyone? Have a seat. Fortunately, we finished all the lecture, so today I'm going to wrap up the semester, what we have learned, and also I'd like to discuss about the future of the computer science. So just before we watch the clip of the movie, it's a Matrix. So what is a Matrix, by the way?
It's an artificial intelligence software program.
It's an artificial intelligence software. Any other? Any other? Anyway, it's a computer program, right? It's not a simple computer program. Have you ever heard about the VR? The virtual reality. So when you watch the, I think I didn't need close the battery. So I'm going to use. So, how many of you watched the movie Matrix? At least one. Yeah, it's quite old movie, but as a computer science major, I strongly suggest to watch the movie Matrix. It may be hard to understand all the plot at one time. So if you watch, or if you want, you can watch the animation, the Matrix. That is the preview of the, because it's too hard to understand for the the engineering or technology related person. So there's a additional movie. It's a preview movie. It's an animation Matrix. So if you watch the movie, then you probably understand what is a Matrix. But in this, as you watch it here, the Matrix itself is what? It's a computer program. It's not just artificial. It's a very huge computer program that mimic what?
The word.
This. Okay? This is our real life. Who knows whether this is a real life or not? We are not sure. Sometimes you may feel that I have lived 1,000 years ago. Why? Because you were programmed as a person in 1,000 years ago. So, but the program is not entirely reset, so you have the deja vu. Okay? Who knows? How do you guarantee you live really here? Maybe controlled by the computer. That is the idea of this movie. Then if you go further that way, it's not the computer science class. It will be like the philosophy or something, the religious classes. So I'm not going to that direction further. But there is kind of the virtual reality plus artificial intelligence plus, and also this is the system. Do you know why the architect and the machine? It's actually the old. So it's a machine versus a human being. It's an old, very traditional topic in movie, animation, and the novel, right? So the movie Matrix also started from the machine versus the human being. Then who won the game?
Human being.
The machine won the game, right? So because of that, so they actually they make the machine like the Matrix. They try to make the Matrix, but it's a machine. One of the main problem of the machine is what? Human being, we can make the energy by ourselves, right? So using the sun or eating nutrients, then we can make the energy, but the computer cannot do that, so they try to feed the energy from the human being and connect a wire or whatever, then the human being can generate the energy. That energy will be source of the power of the machine Matrix. Okay. However, they realized that it's not my story. It's a Matrix movie story. However, they realized that in the early version of you have watched the movie. It's how many version? It's already the 5th version, right? So 5th version is first through the 5th version were destroyed, and it's the 6th version. But they realized that human being, if we just connect the wire to the human being, then the energy will be decreased because it's not very active. So they try to make the human being very active, even virtually. So because they make the matrix system, to make the active, make the human being, the field, this is a real life. Okay? How? Using the program. Okay? That is the matrix. Think about your dream. When you are dreaming, so it looks like the real. Then sometimes you sweat and it's very hard because you land all the way around the earth, right? Just like that, if the human being feel such a, even though that is a virtual, if they are programmed to do the real life, then their energy is higher. Then computer can get the more energy. That is the idea of the matrix. To do that, it should be this program. Should be real life. Okay, so that's the reason. So even the machine designed the what about the oracle? What is the zero? It's the human, the part revolution to attack the machine something. Even that the machine designs such a thing because that's the normal, the human life, right? So then I'm not interested in the ethical issue or philosophical issue or the religious issue. Somebody said the movie, the mimic the kind of the Jesus life. Okay, for example, what is the Neo? Neo. So name is Neo. It's a one, right?
Yeah.
It's actually the pretend Jesus at the end of the Matrix movie. Actually, Neo will be dying. Then the body is sacrificed, the human species, and continue. So that is the overall flow. But I'm not interested in such a part. But I'm interested in such a system and the matrix and something the artificial intelligence. So computer-related stuff, because we are majoring in the computer, and I believe that this movie shows what's the direction of the computer science and engineering. Okay, what will be the future of our computer science and the computer engineering? Then that means if we know the future, then it will be very easy to survive here. It's a very competitive life, and the community is very hard to get a job. But the programmer or the software, the developer, is not the only option for you to survive here. There are a lot of opportunity. Even when you know the direction of your way, it's very hard to find the way. I cannot guarantee this one. This is my just the opinion, but you can consider when you decide your future. So at that time, let's go back to the first question. What is the matrix? It's like the operating system, I believe. Very powerful operating system that runs all the computer in. So what is the operating system that we have learned so far? It's a software. Somebody developed the software for what? To manage the computer resource. Anyway, we'd like to use the mechanical computer resource, the processor and so on. Okay, but they are limited. As you can see, for example, power is limited, so they'd like to find another source of the power, then they do the programming. Okay. Similarly, in the operating system, who knows later the power may be the issues to be managed. Even though we discussed just 10 seconds in this lecture regarding to the power management, but that will be the important problem later. We have seen the clue of such an important thing from the cell phone device, such an operating system, Android or the iOS. They need more the effective power management, the part for the operating system, something like that. So matrix is kind of operating system to utilize and coordinate such a computing power, computer research, machine research using computer program. To do that, we have learned something, the scheduling algorithm, something basic algorithm. However, as you can see, the basic algorithms are not enough to manage such a matrix style, because to think of it, go back to the real life, not matrix, the real life. As I mentioned before a couple of times, what is the main goal of the computer science? What do you think? When you learn the computer science, why you select the computer science as your major?
To develop some.
To develop without getting the money? I know that it's true. Computer science is one of the best job to find a job, especially in United States. Beyond that, when you are taking the course, so what do you want to learn? What is the goal of this computer science?
To minimize the human effort.
Minimize the human effort. When you minimize the human effort, what do you get? Anyway, any subject, anything in our academia or in our life is a happiness. We'd like to be happy. So if we can save our time for the computation or whatever, then we have more time to enjoy our life. Sometimes it's not true, but that's our goal. So to do that, computer science, so when we design, when we learn, or when we select the subject in computer science, it looks like why don't you think about each subject? It's similar as a human being, human activity, okay? Artificial intelligence or algorithm is similar as what our brain is working. And the networking is a communication using the language or the hand sign. And also I can see you and I can hear using the signal processing and the computer vision. Then we can communicate, we can get more information. And we can keep the data, the information in our brain, even though we do not know exactly how we can keep in terms of neurology. But in computer science, we are using the database system to keep the huge amount of data. And also the operating system is overall software to coordinate and manage the computer resource. Similarly, we have been trained the software to utilize the human body for the better life, something like that. So computer science is mimicking the human being. If that is true, how can we make the better operation? How can we make the proper operating system like the matrix? Is it really possible to design? So do you remember the part of the movie? Even the matrix can define what is love. It's a human emotion, human feeling. It doesn't look like the structured, okay? But our goal of the computer science, we try to make the structure. Anyway, it's true that we are using the computer related stuff. So far, it's a binary operation. Who knows, it's a quantum computing or the types of computing. But so far, it's a binary. Then, to utilize such a binary data, anyway, we need the structure. So, to address the problem of the thing in human life, like the love, or something uncertainty, and something decision, something emotion, it should be structured. In matrix, the architect, by the way, who is the architect?
Human being.
It's also a computer program. It's a machine. Okay? It's not human being. Okay?
Why not?
It's not human being. It's the computer who designed the matrix. It's a machine. Okay? So why don't you read? So actually, they don't need a human being. Okay? They could remove all the human species, but they try to keep some of them for kind of testing. Okay, but so architect is not the human being is a part of programming. Then they try to matrix almost successful to make the data structure of even human feeling, human emotion. What is the law? But he said, what is the most difficult part? To make the program, to make the data structure.
You make a choice. Decision
decision because the human being do not decide based on the evidence. Sometimes randomly decide. I don't know why, but I selected this one. It's the uncertainty. They try to make the formula to fluctuation of the such uncertainty. Think about the data nowadays. So in the Newton era, the Newton is like the 18th century or the 17th century. When was the Newton? Isaac Newton. Is it 17? 18? So what is the science? At that time, 200 years ago, 300 years ago. At that time, the science should be proved. A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared in right triangle. It should be proved. Then that is true in anywhere universe. Okay? However, that is not true. That's only true in the matrix space. It's a flat area. So if we consider non-Euclidean the space, it may be. But anyway, that is the Newton, the science. But nowadays, our real life cannot be designed as a mathematical formula always because of such a uncertainty data. That's a very important part when we consider. So if you believe too much the science and the formula, mathematics, okay, everything should be proved. Otherwise, you cannot do that. But in our real life, it's not always can be the formulated. It cannot be always structured. It can many of them actually it's an uncertainty problem. Okay, it's a fluctuated. So it's very hard whether the A fall in love to the B. Okay, with the equation, with the mathematics, with the formula. But there might be clue. There might be the solution nowadays. Anything? Any idea? How many of you took the database class last week for the invited talk? Dr. Dongwon Lee from the Penn State University? One? What did he introduce? So Amazon something, right? So when we decide the something without using the equation or formula, whether the Professor Lee is a man and woman, the female or male, when you decide without the mathematics or the formula or document, so why don't we ask to the just public? Okay, how do you feel? Somebody said the Professor Lee is a female. But the many of them, probably, they feel, without any reason, just I feel there is a man or male. So 99% is a male, then 1% is a female. Then at that time we can decide it's a male. Do I use the mathematical equation? No, it's just the public opinion. So we can get such an idea to solve the scientific problem. So far we try to make the what is the integer I and what is the entity, what is the something and operating system, what is the top priority, what is the second priority to schedule, and what is the algorithm. Okay, that is the Newton style, the old, not old, but that is the traditional way. However, that's limited. Okay. To overcome, to make the real, the computer system, real life is a computer system, operating system that can support the human life. That should be the one step, the move forward. So I believe at that time it's called sometimes a different name, cognitive computing. Okay, the IBM used a lot such a cognitive computing. Just before the cognitive computing, they need something like this one, AI or machine learning, some intelligent. So computer should be intelligent. So far, which means computer not that much intelligent. When I learned the AI, the machine learning, AI, the subject, my professor said intelligence level of the computer 10 years ago is like the 3 years old. It's a baby almost. Their computer intelligence level is like the 3 years old. Nowadays it's higher than. Still, we cannot say that their computer system, the intelligence level is, even though computer can beat the world champions of the chess, or still their intelligence level, they cannot afford it now. They cannot feel the delicious or non-delicious, or the feeling bad, or the something the melancholy and the something patriotic. They cannot do that. They cannot define. Okay. So this we to increase such an intelligence level. I'm not saying that I'm considering the ethical issue or the something religious part. So forget about such a thing. Only the technology part. That's another big issue you need to consider later. But to increase such a thing, so nowadays we can see there's something clue to address this problem. What can be the example? So I gave the one example of the public the decision. And another example is did you watch the movie this one?
Yes.
What is this?
Terminator.
It's a new version of the Terminator. Okay, I watched the Terminator long time before when Arnold Schwarzenegger was the bad guy, but this time it's a suddenly good guy. Did you watch the movie? So what is the main topic of the new one? What is this? Genesis. What is a Genesis in the Terminator movie? It's the operating system. Okay, that control everything. Is it true? No?
No.
What about your homework? What do you use when you are doing your homework? Google. Everybody uses Google. It's controlled by the Google. Right? I think the Genesis, the mimic, the impact of the Google right now, which means, so I'm not going to discuss here whether this is a good direction or a bad direction of using such a system, but we'd like to see the evidence to solve. Anyway, eventually we need to solve the problem for the cognitive computing, for the intelligence system. Okay, the many people have tried to make the equation or data structure or algorithm. So some of you are in this room are doing research as a PhD student or master project. So you try to make the algorithm, okay, to detect the face recognition, we try to make the feature of this one, the fancy nice algorithm. That's a traditional way. But still, their accuracy is not good enough, not better than human. Okay, their speed, efficiency is better. So we rely on much such efficiency. But the accuracy level, I don't think so. However, we can see the clue to solve such a problem like the Genesis in the movie. It's Terminator 4? But anyway, new Terminator released last year, a couple of years ago. So Genesis is a countdown to release. But this is the system operating system that control all the computer device in worldwide. Is it the non-fiction? But think about the nowadays. Your daily life, what are they? What are they? So all of them are Google product. Whether or not you realize, as long as you are using Android phone, okay, you are part of them. Whether or not you realize, some of the information are transferred to the Google server. If you go to the Google map and if you click the history, it will show where you have been. Okay, in United States or anywhere, because it is true that when you connect to the internet using your mobile phone, so you should connect to the Google server because the Android rely on the Google. So you need to create the Google account. Then your information will be stored at the server. Then I'm not going to discuss that part, but if we have something, the public, the mass information from the huge number of the people and user, we can decide something very non-structured. It's almost impossible to structure the problem, but using such information, we may solve the problem. Then, at that time, what is the biggest issue? Suppose that we are going to develop such a system, okay, like the Genesis system. Right? I'm not saying the Genesis is our direction, but suppose that if we need to build such a system, what is the biggest problem? In other words, what is the biggest problem in Google also?
Data handling.
Data handling. They have too many data to be handled. They don't want to lose because we don't know. They do not know which one is good, which one is not good, and which one is important, which one is not important. But just collecting all the information, we may get the very important, useful information. Sometimes it's called hidden knowledge in terms of data mining. So it's a mine the data, the knowledge discovery. Sometimes you don't have to apply the very huge, intensive, nice algorithm. So have you ever heard about the Google trend? Google flu trend? Flu trend? Let me quickly. The recently Google flu trend is not the public, so I think it's not connected. This is one more video.
Welcome to Google Flu Trends. Today, we're going to show you how Google Flu Trends works. Google Flu Trends uses aggregated search data to estimate flu activity in near real time. Millions of people search for health information online. As you can imagine, there are more flu-related searches during flu season, and we've found that certain search terms are good indicators of actual flu activity. We collaborated with the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, or CDC, to help us create Google Flu Trends for the U.S. For example, the past 5 years' flu seasons might have looked like this.
This
We
is
then
real
looked at the
data.
popularity of individual search queries over this time period. Using this method, we identified search queries that matched well
You
with
can see
CDC's data.
the blue is in ahead,
Google Flu Trends is
advanced
updated
to
in
the
real time.
rear.
For instance, on this date,
at a
Google
flu
Flu Trends
trend.
detected a significant increase in flu activity. CDC reported the same increase 2 weeks later.
It's a 2 weeks
For some
advanced.
countries, like
Which means we
Mexico,
can predict.
we don't have official historic data to work from. Instead, we look for flu-related search queries that appear to have a seasonal curve. Since these estimates have not been compared with official historic flu data, we label them experimental. Personal search data remains safe and private. We do not use personal health records or personally identifiable data to create our estimates. Our graphs are produced by an automated formula that looks at aggregated data from millions of searches done on Google over time. An important aspect of Google Flu Trends is that we filter out terms that may be popular because people hear about them in the news. Google Flu Trends complements existing flu surveillance tools. Earlier detection of flu activity enables public health officials and the public to make more informed decisions. For official information about flu activity, prevention, and treatment, please visit your national or local health resource. Check out Google Flu Trends.
So, how does the Google predict the flu trend? First, how does the CDC decide whether this is a flu season or not? They need to contact the regional state CDC. Then how many report and what is the age, what is the symptom, and what is the treatment if that is more than the something threshold value, and if that is more than a number of the state, then they declare this is the flu season, flu outbreak or something, the outbreak. What about the Google flu trend? They just count number of search query. That's it. Then their trend, as you can see, is a 2 weeks advance because there might be something, the cough related and the high fever. Then they type what is the treatment, what is the symptom of the, probably as you are doing the Googling for the final exam or the midterm exam, the people are searching the Google. By just counting the number of query, then we can predict which one is better and which one is the realistic. The Google trend is more. Why? Even though they do not use any the specific medical knowledge and we don't know the symptom or what is the temperature, they don't use, but they can predict. That is the idea of how we can make the system like the intelligent. How we can solve the problem. So to do that, the reason why I show you the Google is in terms of operating system. Can operating system support such the intelligent system or something cognitive computing? Or in my term, I use actually the semantic computing, but it's the same meaning. So semantic computing is similar as the cognitive computing. It's more like the intelligent, instead of just the structured query. So, what will be the main problem when we build such a system? When we implement such a system, then what will be the main problem in terms of operating system? It's the data science. Okay, so that is the reason nowadays a lot of companies are interested in the big data system, because the big data is not only for the Facebook, not only for the Twitter or the Flickr, but the even small, medium-sized company. They need such because if they can get the semantic meaning of their customer, they can do the marketing very, very effectively, like the target marketing. Instead of the random, massive mail to the customer, like you get the mail, directed mail every day from your post box. You can see a lot of pizza or whatever you don't interest. But if the customer identify which user are interested in the flu or the pizza, then they can do the target marketing. Then they can save the money. Then for the operating system, how to manage to do that we need a big data. Okay? So that is the main problem. Because of that, right now the simplest solution is one system is not big enough. So we make cluster, add one more node, one more node, one more node. Even not in the operating system level, they are doing just the file system level. They try to make the distributed computing. I believe sometimes later, such a file system level is not enough. Okay, people are asking more and more the query and the complex, the application and problem. To do that, we need to consider such a CPU scheduling. Okay, to balance all the CPU along the cluster, how we can schedule. And how can we keep the consistency of the data in the memory, and how do we manage the memory, or if we need more space for the page, and can we transfer to other. So there might be a lot of things if we consider such a distributed computing and cluster computing, and also operating system. There are a lot of things you can do. Then also, that is the scalability. Scalable, to make a bigger and bigger system to handle the big data. However, on the other hand, what is the data source of such a Google? It's a search query. However, the search query is not the only one. Nowadays, one of the very interesting area of computer science is IoT. What is the IoT? Internet. It's an index organized table in database class. It's a project, but it's an internet over thing. What is the IoT? What is the main idea of IoT? It's that everything should be connected. Okay? Even small, it's not small, it's already computer. Even your pen is connected. And even your watch, you already have the such a thing, right? Is it? Oh yes, really, right? Is it connected? No. So everything, really everything is, if we connect everything in our life, then it can help the human life. However, on the other hand, if we can connect everything, that means we have more and more data source. Okay? Which means we can build a Google like the system for individual, because I have the hundreds the connected thing. Okay, by collecting such information, then we can decide whether I have the good health condition or not, something like that. That means the one way to address the problem in terms of the operating system is scalable, make the bigger and bigger system. On the other hand, we need to minimize, okay? We need to focus on the specialized thing. Definitely such the device, small device, or the connected device need the operating system also, which is called the embedded operating system. Sometimes just the device program level. Even device program is a kind of the operating system. If it is true, operating system is a software in between hardware and human or user. It's an interface. So many of the companies, they try to develop such a small device that can be connected to the smartphone. They need such a programming. That's not just the application programming, it's a operating system. So when you the graduate, it's not just a .NET developer for your future job, but there are a lot of things that you can consider. For the future, actually, that is the most important part of your future. So just to do that, what is the best way to be ready for such an opportunity? Study your basic subject. Okay? Really. So not only just the programming itself, but the operating system and the algorithm, definitely very important, and the network, the database. Such a basic core courses are the fundamental. Okay. Then on top of that, you can focus on the other subject that will be helpful to be ready for we don't know the next decade how it's going on. Somebody said it will be data-driven era. So far we have lived with the impact of the Industrial Revolution. So Industrial Revolution, what's the main thing of the Industrial Revolution? We produce something, right? Using the machine, we produce the product. Using the machine, then we can produce more and more that can make our economy bigger and bigger. Then over human society, their living, the quality overall is increased better. Okay, that was the impact of the Industrial Revolution. Nowadays, you can see that something evidence it may be changed. Like our economy is not reliant on only the producing or manufacturing. It's from sometimes the money makes the money, right? The investment bank and such a thing. But that's I think the in between to change the economy and the society, change it to the data-driven. Okay, so data-driven means our source of the money will be data in the computer system. Those who have, so during the Industrial Revolution, those who have the resource is a winner. It's a big nation. Like the England, they direct this a small country, but they invade the other country because of what? They need natural resource. Okay. So right now the Middle East, we have a lot of Middle East country. Then they have the oil. Okay. So that make the money. But the next few decades will be everybody expect, not everybody, including me, somebody expect it will be data-driven society. Data-driven something. It's a good news for us. Because where is the data? It's not in the underground, it's not in the mind, it's in the computer. Okay? So keep in mind such a thing, and you have a lot of opportunity, but please, the more time you spend, the better chance. Okay, not guaranteed, but you have a higher chance. Okay, so read more the relevant article and the paper, and try to solve the problem by yourself. Okay, even though that's not completed, not too much rely on or too much obsessed to the point wise. So what if I just copy my friend? I can save time. No, please try to solve the problem by yourself and spend all your effort. That will be the compensate later. Okay, any question? It's turned off already. Any question? Okay, so next week we have the final exam in this room. Okay, so I believe that we have almost the exact number of the chair. So do not miss the class. But I already make the solution how I can handle the final exam. Please come to the classroom. I'm not going to allow the cell phone use.